What's good, Buckeye Scoop family, Buckeye Nation? Happy Sunday evening. Hope all is well with you. Glad to be back here to talk Buckeye football, portal news, and all that stuff, all that good stuff. Listen, do me a favor, hit the like button. If you have not already, hit that thumbs up for us. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, consider subscribing if you have not. We're zooming towards 40K. Little by little, you could help us to get to that point. Also, for those who love podcasts and not just YouTube, Apple people, go to Apple Podcasts. Make sure you download us there, save us there. And then Spreaker, folks who don't do Apple like me, go to Spreaker.com. Make sure you download our podcast, save us on there, knock that out. Just gives you another way to listen when you can't get to YouTube, or if you prefer it. Also, we're going to talk about a massive new portal pickup today, and we're going to break that down and then talk about who's possibly next. And just talk about all the drama and madness and fans freaking out and just back and forth, all that stuff. We're going to get into it. Excuse me. But remember, when you send those wonderful super chats, it helps to go towards the Pay It Forward, which is our military and our first responders. We're going to look out for them because they always look out for us. And in Sunday fashion, we have the illustrious panel, Dev from the Buckeye Boys and Funky Buck. What's up, fellas? Funky. It's been a minute since we've had this combination, Funky and Devin and B Moses, man. What's up, bro?
Well, yeah, what's up, B? Happy Sunday to you and Dev and the whole Scoop family. It's been fun. It's been fun. I've been doing shows with obviously you on Sundays usually. That feels like old times. But
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time we've had all three of us. It was probably one of those summer podcasts about roster management. But that was a while ago. That was probably back in August or July.
Yeah. Yeah. Dev, what's up with you, bro? How you feeling?
Oh, dude, chilling, man, chilling. Yeah, I'm glad to be here, man. Ohio State, don't forget, Funky. We won the national title last year. You know what I'm saying? Just want to remind people of that. I know the day is coming where that wears off a little bit more than not. We're not in the run this year, but again, it's going to be another one of those shows where we try to present facts and logic, and that is 100% going against the grain right now with what is going on in Buckeye Nation, with what is going on in this YouTube world and this message board world. But again, I'm going to stick to facts. I'm going to stick to logic. We'll break this thing down tonight. But yeah, big time portal pickup, and that will not be the last one for Ohio State. So we'll dive into that for sure.
Yep, definitely, man. It's literally been. I look at it as like 24-hour cycles, maybe 48 hours, where something will happen, and then there's a reaction, and then something else happens, and then it's kind of you transition to the next thing, and then something else happens. It's been a roller coaster of bad takes and emotion and overreactions and angst and happiness for a moment or maybe not so happy. It's been all over the place. But let me share my screen for those who have not seen. And again, as we've said before, some people who watch the show don't follow college football as closely as they don't. Listen, we are at the ready. We got alerts. We got group chats. We got text messages coming in when stuff happens. Like, it's like this. We're on it, on it, on it. Everybody ain't like that. So for those who don't know, Ohio State received the commitment from Earl Little Jr. He's listed as a safety. He's played corner, safety. There's debate if he's going to be a true safety or the nickel in this defense. We'll see. Some back and forth debate about that. But he led Florida State in tackles in 2025, 76 tackles, picked off 4 passes, and had 2 forced fumbles. And so obviously he has some experience. He's played the position for a minute now and has some good numbers. I mean, say he's the leading tackler on his team. And so that says a lot as far as production. And we're going to really talk about this tonight, which is the potential versus the production argument and sort of the battle that's going on with that from both parties, whether that be the schools that have guys portaling out and the kids and their agents trying to cash in or leverage or whatever. So we'll get to that. But fellas, what's your thoughts? Starting with you, Devin, how do you feel about this pickup from Earl Little Jr. from Florida State?
Yeah, I mean, top 100 prospect in his class that originally committed to Alabama as a corner, right? Then he transfers to Florida State, still as a corner, transitions over into more of a safety prospect over there, ends up having 4 interceptions on the year, the most tackles on the Florida State defense, all ACC, all, whatever conference and all those things. So, very good player. And the biggest thing to me is his versatility, right? Because I know that, right, if you look at this roster, we have to replace Lorenzo Styles, we have to replace Caleb Downs. Those are the 2 positions now that are still kind of up there for the grabs. A lot of people are assuming this is Caleb Downs' replacement. I don't know that I'm convinced of that yet. I could see him also going more of the Jordan Hancock, Lorenzo Styles type of position group for this Ohio State defense where he does play safety at times, but he also plays nickel. So a lot of experience at corner. And if you know anything about Florida State's defense, I do. They're my number 2 team. I could throw a rock and hit the stadium right now. Earl Little was used kind of in a lot of different places, in the box, in coverage, kind of all over the place. And again, you will never be able to replace Caleb Downs, but Caleb Downs was used in several different positions on the field. So, right, you want to get as close to you can as you can to replacing him. Well, as terms of being able to be used in a lot of different positions, and when you look in the portal, dude, I would venture to guess this is like at least a top 3, pickup in the portal at that position that you're looking for to kind of fill the either Lorenzo Styles or Caleb Downs type of role. So big time pickup, one of those pickups that will alleviate the pain of a Fahim Delane leaving. Do you want a big time prospect who hasn't proven anything, or would you rather have Earl Little? And the answer, right, is Earl Little. That's just the answer. It sucks. I don't like it either. I would love to keep Fahim Delane around, but I mean, here, proven production. This dude can ball out. The staff has no problem paying him the money that he's asking for because he has proven his worth.
Funky, what you got, bro, on this?
Yeah, I think we can look even at like the bigger picture of this get. Obviously, a very good all ACC get for the Buckeyes going into, I believe it's his 4th year, which Indiana is really showing that getting these veteran guys is very important, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So with Ohio State, having to replace the 2 Styles brothers, K-Mac, and then replacing a third cornerback. It's really important. And obviously, Caleb Downs is that we get these older veteran guys to step in and not have to rely on some younger talent, especially with next year's schedule, knowing we're going to go, at Texas week 2. So I really, really do like this get. And he really makes our secondary the strength of our team next year. We got obviously Jermaine and Devin coming back, who are both played a ton last year, played an absolute ton. Jermaine going into his senior year, Devin still going to be a true sophomore next year. But for the amount of playing time he got last year, I expect him to be a very, very, very good player for us next year. Then obviously Jermaine Matthews, who's one of the unsung heroes of the defense this year, was extremely good. And then we add Earl. So our secondary looks like to be one of the strengths of the team next year. And I really do like the Buckeyes addition because, like Devin said, he led the team in tackles for Florida State. He played all over the field for them. He really kind of did play their Caleb Downs role for us. Obviously, at a lesser level, and he's not Caleb Downs because it's really hard to replace. I mean, it's impossible to replace Caleb Downs. I think he's probably one of the better safeties to ever do it. Probably top 10 pick in the draft. But this is definitely an NFL guy who will be drafted next year from after a season with Ohio State. So great get. Ohio State, ponied up when we need it to, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else we do on the defensive side.
Yep, definitely more to come, despite what some people say, like, oh, we're just sitting back with our feet kicked up, like we don't care about portal acquisition. Guys, more are coming. And so let me read a couple comments from Florida State fans. Listen, on my page, on my Facebook page, obviously I have some trolls who are saying, hey, he sucks, whatever. But here's 2 Florida State fans keeping it a buck. He said, There was one player that said, "Hope he wraps up in Columbus." Sure, never did in Tallahassee. Florida State fan, he said, "You must have missed the 76 tackles part." And then talking to Ohio State fans, y'all got a baller, and I hate that he left FSU. Here's another FSU fan. As an FSU fan, he is one of my favorite players, but he needs to learn to wrap up and tackle. He will be a good player for the Buckeyes if they can get that fixed. Hope the young man does great. So, yeah, listen, if you're not a bona fide first-round pick, there's going to be something in your game that needs improved. You can still be productive and have things in your game that need to be improved. This kid has production. And so, yes, I'm very confident that any player with the potential and production like this kid has coming into our system with Matt Patricia is going to improve. Like, that's just, is that not logical? I think we have better coaches. We clearly had a better defense. And so, yes, I expect us to get the best out of this kid. And so, really quick, and I'm gonna pass it back to y'all, but I just wanted to say, as far as the whole potential versus production thing, let me just say this. I just want to put this out there now because me and Dev been talking and, just discussing this whole thing. So over the last 24 hours before this commitment, people were really freaking out. And I was wondering to myself, like, what was the thing that made people kind of go overboard? Like, even some of the people who are consistently people who freak out and just fearmonger, they took it to another level. And then the other ones who weren't quite there start taking it to another level. And I'm just like, what was it? I guess it was the Fahim Delane. Fahim Delane, preceded by Jaquez Carter, like these young guys that we had a lot of Hartford, that we had a lot of hope in, that we followed in recruiting, and like we had an emotional attachment to, like, man, because listen, I like Delane. I was excited about Fahim Delane. Like, man, he's a hitter. I can't wait to see him play. But listen, y'all, the reality of today's college football world is the development clock hasn't been sped up. It's been sped up. If you don't come in and get your spot now, then there's going to be some tough conversations, especially when you're trying to ask for XYZ, a starting spot, guaranteed spot, money, whatever. And it's just like, we think you have potential, son, but there's no production to back up this offer. Hence, okay, cool. It's not about us not having money to pay players. It's about us saying, hey, if this is what you want, try your hand in the portal. We need production. And so with this situation, this is what this was. Okay, you don't like where you are on the depth chart. Roker beat you out already this year. You're going to have to fight through Roker, and then we're bringing in a safety from the portal with production. Yeah, we're not going to promise you a starting spot, and we're certainly not going to pay you XYZ dollars for just potential. And so this is what's going on across the board, I think, largely, not in every case, but a lot of cases, is that agents and players are saying, why not test the waters in the portal, see if we can leverage that and see what we can get. I gave y'all the example the other day. Zim Mikowski went to Indiana. He's not very good. He got $800,000. Okay? That was a good move by him in his camp. That would have been a bad move by Ohio State to pay him that much money when they could have allocated that towards somebody else more important, where he probably wouldn't even start it. So I'm just trying to keep laying this out for y'all, that this portal thing is layered. There's different things going on. It's not just, Ohio State doesn't have any money and we don't want to pay. No, there's levels to this, y'all. Devin, what you got on that, bro?
Well, dude, I got a piece of this puzzle that I haven't heard anybody else talk about, and I'm curious to why that is. And that is the new roster limits officially starting this year at 105. Last year, there's some misinformation out there that Ohio State played with 105 players on the roster last year. That's not true. They had about 118, 119 players on the roster last year. And it's my understanding that all 105 can now have scholarships. Now, I might be off there. I don't know. But I do think that is a part of this, right? Having to trim down and figure some things out. It switches the numbers up in a bigger way. I'm not saying that's every reason for what's going on now, but I do think that is part of the reason. But yeah, you brought up something earlier that I don't want people to sleep on, and that is, right, when we pick up somebody in the portal, everybody runs through their film. They start picking out the things they did good and they did bad. and they just don't anticipate a whole off season at the Ohio State University with the coaches, the the weightlifting, coaches and areas that we have, right? If you're an Ohio State fan and you believe that we can develop at the highest level, then Earl Little coming in here will get better, surrounded by these coaches and by these training facilities that we have in all of those areas as well. So that's something, right, that you don't want to sleep on. That's a big point that you brought up, B. Moses. I mean, look at Tywone Malone, right? Came in this year and honestly was a big part of this defense, right?
Yeah.
Thankfully, we had him. Thankfully, he got better during the offseason. And finally, on the Fahim Delane stuff, you already said it. A thing that is going under the radar here is that a 3-star and Leroy Roker going into his junior year played in the Cotton Bowl, and Fahim Delane did not. Okay, so right, if you're going to be one of those fans that looks at the roster and assumes that Fahim Delane was supposed to start next year, I would encourage you to go back and watch the Cotton Bowl and watch Leroy Roker get in and get playing time before Fahim Delane did. Okay, so I know that's not the end all be all on things. I'm upset we lost Fahim Delane too, but if you're going to ask me, do you want this staff to pay Fahim Delane starting safety money? If you do that, you're not going to have the funds to go get a starting safety in the portal, but you have a starting safety in the portal available that wants to come here. As much as it hurts, I'm picking the starting safety that has proven their production. I'm picking them over Fahim Delane 10 out of 10 times.
Funky, I know we just both said a lot, bro. What you got on anything we just said?
Well, I just think the overall overreactions from the portal are, I mean, obviously a little extreme because we lose these guys, but you got to think, when are these guys going to play? When is Jarquez Carter going to play? If is Jarquez Carter going to play next year for the Buckeyes? The answer is like no. I mean, I mean, it's start. I mean, will he play? Yes. Will start and play really, really meaningful snaps? No, I really don't think he will. And if you look at what Ohio State needed in the portal going into this, portal season, we probably need one defensive lineman. We probably need a safety, and we need a wide receiver number 2 or number 3. And a linebacker. So we went and got a veteran linebacker from Wisconsin. We went and got a veteran safety from Florida State. We went and got, a solid gadget wide receiver 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to say, very comparable wide receiver who could really make plays from the guy from UTSA. So now you got to look at what Ohio State can do in the rest of the portal. We retained Bo Jackson. We retained, Brendan Ennis and Jeremiah Smith, and we're projected to retain, Jermaine Matthews, Kenyatta Jackson, uh, and, Max Clare. So you got to think what we need. What do we need now? And you look, and we're probably going to grab, a defensive tackle, probably 1 or 2 guys on the defensive line, if I had to guess, and maybe someone on the offensive line B. It's just so I think we kind of went into the portal. I wouldn't say with unrealistic expectations, but just not really expecting what is going to happen for every portal season for here on out. We're going to lose talented freshmen to elsewhere because they're not going to be able to play at Ohio State in their second year. They're going to ask for a pay raise. And if they can't play, Ohio State ain't going to pay them. Because what's the point in paying, like Fahim Delane to stay another year at Ohio State when, like Devin said, Leroy Roker, sorry, I'm just butchering names right now. Leroy Roker got playing time over him. And then we got a, solid safety, in my opinion, in the portal and retaining Jermaine Matthews. So I just think we got to go into the portal season probably in the future with different expectations that we're going to lose some freshmen last year who want to play as a sophomore. We're going to lose sophomores who want to play as juniors because we're not going to pay up for, it doesn't matter if they're a former 5-star. If they're not going to make an impact on the field, really doesn't mean much. So we'll and see at what ends up happening with like the Quincy Porter recruitment in particular, because he's not going to play all spring ball. He's out for spring ball. So it'll be interesting to see what team is really willing to pay up for him, close to over $1 million. Because Ohio State was paying him about about 500K, I believe the number was about 500K, and he asked for about 1 million is the rumored amount. So we'll see if any team's even willing to pay him, in that 700, 800K range. So that will be interesting. And that'll be interesting to see who maybe returns to Ohio State and where Milan Graham ends up. Kind of Milan Graham's grabbing the attention from some bigger name schools. Uh, but I'm really excited, and I really do like what Ohio State's gone in the portal so far. And I really hope we, close the deal on, defensive tackle from Pitt, the defensive tackle from Alabama, or the defensive end from Alabama. And I'm sure Ohio State's going to be keep getting in on bigger names as this portal season continues.
Yeah, yeah. So a few things. I think what you said about expectations is huge, and I mean, I think this annoying storm of Buckeye fans freaking out is just caused by a few things. Expectations is one thing, Funky. Like, what is your realistic expectations going into the portal? If you think we're going to be Indiana going into the portal, then your expectations are warped. And we've explained this several times. We're two different programs, two different things going on here. They have a different situation than we have. I don't care how impressive the names look like in the portal. We are two different programs. If you understand what they did and what we've been doing, it's two different animals. Another thing is, do you understand how the portal works? Do you understand why some of these kids are hitting the portal? You know what I'm saying? This is like a lot of people, fellas, what irritates me. This is why I always say, think for yourself, do research. If you don't know, ask questions. But please stop beating your chest on social media, telling on yourself that you really don't know what the heck is going on, and just repeating what you hear people say. You know what I'm saying? So again, we're here to try to educate, try to provide facts and logic and all that. And so that's what we're here for. And yeah, listen, another thing, another misnomer I wanted to clear up is that people think that we only have 6 days left to get more guys. We can sign guys beyond the 16th. Okay. I see that keeps circulating. We don't. We have more time than that. That's just when the portal closes, but we can still sign guys after that. So relax. Okay. Stuff is happening behind the scenes. There'll be more commits. Needs that we have will be fulfilled. Okay. And there'll be the right guy in the eyes of our staff, period. And you brought up Milan Graham a minute ago, Funky. I wanted to touch on some controversy with that situation, but I wanted Dev to jump in first and get a chop at this.
Yeah, I mean, there's you brought up so many good things, but right, one of the things that is causing a lot of freak out is so many different people reporting on what is going on and so many different opinions and takes being taken as fact. I mean, we've already seen the example. Look at all the Bo Jackson conundrum that got put out there, all the misinformation that got put out there.
Yeah.
Look at the reaction from the Ohio State fan base, all for him to sign with us and come back and be our running back. Okay. A lot of these situations are exactly the same. They might not end the same, but they're exactly the same. You know, we've said it 100 times, and I completely understand the emotions attached to it. When Fahim Delane goes in, I freak out a little bit. But if you go back and you look at the roster and you think about it, right, for me, the second I realized Leroy Roker played over him, it's like, okay, well, I mean, that makes more sense now. So again, right, these Buckeyes, I promise you, are talking to more players in the portal than what you and me and anybody in this chat and on this show realize. I think that's a given now. There are more feelers put out there for different players than what we know. There are even players on visits that we don't know about. Ohio State is keeping these things under wraps for obvious reasons that I'm sure everybody understands. So, right, you just cannot make any judgment on this coaching staff or on this roster, quite frankly, until we see what the roster looks like 1 month before we play football. You know what I'm saying? Because players could even get injured and things could change. So, again, you just got to be patient. We're doing work. Number one, I don't think the Buckeyes need as much help in the portal as people are putting out there or as people feel. Go look at the roster, look at the class coming in, the new 105 player roster limit. We got a lot of players on this roster. You got to, if you want to bring somebody in with experience, you got to make room. Now, that's not the case for everybody that's left, but that is the case for some of these guys that have left. There are also other variables to some of these players that have left that, right, the normal fan is not privy to. It's things that aren't reported because they're not really worth reporting. It's not information that we like to report here on Scoop, but there are excuse me, there are things behind the scenes going on where players, regardless of how good they are, they don't fit and they got to go.
Yep. And real quick, let me read this message from Maurice Claret responding to a tweet. Because again, one of the questions I keep seeing people on Twitter like, "What's going on? Something's going on in the program. Something has to be going on after Fahim Delane leaves." Like, but anyway, there's nothing going on besides money. Kids talk to kids. Parents talk to parents. Programs around the country need to win now. They're paying a premium for guys. Not really hard to leverage yourself when you're a former 4 or 5-star recruit that comes from Ohio State. Not saying what's right or wrong, but this is what you get when you have no universal structure. It's almost like being able to capture a signing bonus of sorts while in college. Just my thoughts being shared because you have a lot of speculation entering the airwaves. I thought that was a solid tweet by Claret. He pretty much echoed what, me and others have been saying about this process. And that's the thing. Instead of saying, why can't Ohio State pay Fahim Delane or Hartford to stay? Again, y'all, listen, we're not going to allocate all this money towards a bunch of potential when we need to win now too. We're going to allocate that money towards production. Okay. So if you want to walk and say, you know what, pay me or I'm walking, we're going to say, okay, cool. If we don't feel like your potential is great enough, then we're going to go after production, numbers, hard numbers. That's just the flat out truth. And so I just want y'all to kind of reset your mind to understand what this is all about. Because again, you got kids with agents and uncles and family who see dollar signs. I was talking to Dev about this on the phone last night. I was walking the dog and I was like, let me hit Dev up. And we were talking about all this stuff. And listen, man, I didn't grow up rich. I'm not rich now. Like, I was low-key po growing up. Listen, the money that's being thrown around now, I'm imagining myself as an 18, 17, 18-year-old kid, 500,000, 800,000, and families. I mean, that's a crazy come up. All right. And so you got to think the agents and the families and the uncles in their ear saying, hey, screw development and what comes down the line with this great program. You need to get your bread now. Look at what he got. He's not better than you. He got this. He went to Duke and got this or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's a lot what's going on. And Ohio State is not just going to just pay every uncle and auntie and kid who demands a certain dollar amount with no production. Like, how does that make sense? And it's not even just Ohio State. It's college football, period. I'm talking from an Ohio State standpoint, but y'all got to realize, go look at message boards. Just go randomly look at message boards. There are schools freaking out. There's a certain portion of fans freaking out at almost every school because the portal is just, it's affecting a lot of schools. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to help a lot of y'all because some of y'all just look miserable and just in turmoil. Is it easy for me? No, it sucks. I don't like this. I'm not just sitting back unaffected. I hate a lot of this. I'm going to be honest with you. But at the same time, as a critical thinker, I got to step back and not be led by my emotions. I don't care what it is. I don't care how much it sucks in the moment. That's what I'm going to do. And to me, it just kind of helps keep things in perspective. So anyway, Funky, you just went off mute. What you got?
Yeah, I mean, one big thing too that people don't fully realize is some of these kids' parents are not living off them. I mean, I'm sure we could all, I'm not going to say who I'm talking about, but I'm sure we can
Yes.
put together.
Yes.
But there's some very, very involved parents who, you know, are literally making their life based off their kids' NIL check. There's parents that are, even moving up to Columbus and are just being that involved in their kids' journey in college football because of their NIL check, because that's what they're reliant on for their income, not just for them, but for whatever kids they have, for their brothers, their sisters, and I'm sure, extended family members as well are trying to get in on this. So a lot of these kids have very, very extra stuff on the plate that we can't even think about. Because when you really think about it, I mean, I'm sure some of us are thinking, what's the real difference between, 700,000 and 900,000? Like for yourself, like you're going to make millions in the NFL, but that extra 200K this year is very, very impactful for, your family outside of yourself, which is lot of these kids have to, supports. So to tie that into Ohio State's got to realize that, or they know they do realize that these parent involvements in these kids' lives in this new NIL era has been just absolutely insane. It's no longer you send your kid to Ohio State and you just trust the staff to develop them and get them right and get them on the field and let them play in the NFL. And that's where they make their money. It's they want the money now. They want to say, how can we get a bigger check now? So a lot of these kids are entering the portal just they realize that, hey, even though Ohio State might be the best path for me to go to the NFL and play as a junior, senior, I know I can make a lot more money testing myself on the market and playing for, whatever, Auburn this year, Florida State this year, instead of waiting and collecting smaller checks at Ohio State for the next couple of years. So, and a lot of teams are dealing with this. I mean, Notre
Yeah.
Dame is, Bama is just getting absolutely ran. So it'll be very, very interesting. But the biggest freak out is going to come when Ohio State starts taking, you know, teens in for classes for like, 15 kids in a class, 16 kids. And I'm talking about a recruiting class, 15, 16 kids in a recruiting class. And we're 15th in the nation because we have a 15-man class. That's when the real freakouts are going to happen. And that's going to happen eventually. Ohio State's going to take less and less kids per class because they realize that taking these veteran, older guys in the portal is just it's just a better path to, win now, which is always the expectation at Ohio State. No such thing as a rebuild year here. It's
Yeah.
you win right now, you're going to, yeah, you guys know that. Imagine convincing the fans that, oh, don't worry, guys, we'll go 8-4 next year, but we'll go whatever. We'll 11-1 the following year. That would not slide. That would absolutely not slide. We haven't lost more than 2 games in 14 years now. Next season will be 15th season in a row, or we go for less than 2 losses. So it's just a different approach, and it's just gonna be a new thing for we all have to realize. I mean, this we took 27 kids in this recruiting class. We might take half that in the next recruiting class, and that wouldn't shock me. And we
Yeah.
already have half that filled right now. So it'd be
Right.
it's gonna be a pretty big switch when it turns to how Ohio State and how teams across the nation handle this because I mean it's never ending and never stopping. And I don't like it. I do not like it at all. So, but we'll see. It just the college this one thing we haven't even talked about yet is allegedly they're gonna start cracking down on these new NIL deals. I know we are both, and everyone should be very skeptical of what they can actually do. But allegedly, teams are going to start getting notified as quickly as today about some nil deals and stuff and stuff. I'm sure you have saw that on Twitter, but it was Ross Ellinger was posting
Yeah.
about it. So it's something
Yeah.
very interesting to see because clearly Ohio State doesn't want to get in trouble any of that stuff anymore. So just
Yeah.
interesting stuff, and we don't know how this is going to turn out. We really don't know. We could guess, but for all we know, that they're going to put their foot in the mud and stand up for themselves. Them as in the CCS organization in charge of it, and and deem these kids ineligible or fine them so much money that they need to pay back their nil or whatever. I'm not exactly sure what they can even do, but it'll be something to follow because obviously Ohio State and other teams like Alabama have taken a more conservative approach to recruiting.
Right. Right. Because they know eventually you just can't. Something's coming. But real quick, Devin, before you
Yeah.
respond, David Brown, I thought this was a great comment. Some fans keep moving the goalposts of despair to meet their narrative that the sky is falling. That is so true. Dev, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I mean, so much about college football has changed And change is very uncomfortable for any human being, no matter what, right? So a lot of these things we keep comparing to how football used to be, right? Well, if you compare how college football is now to the NFL, it probably seems a little bit more normal to you. And yeah, Funky brought up something really, really important, and that's this CSC stuff and what's going to happen in there. Do I think that they have the backbone to do it? Here's what I do know. If teams are making deals with players that are not approved through CSC, those players will be found ineligible. So, right, if you sign a player and the deal didn't get approved, he will be found ineligible. That's the rule. Whether they do it or not, I don't know. I'm not quite as sold on all the talent acquisition that Ohio State is doing is going to change that dramatically as far as how many high school kids you take versus how many portal kids you take, because all of this happens in high school recruiting. It happens in the portal. You're going to be in a bidding war for portal guys. You're going to be in the bidding war to keep your high school guys. Depends on the situation. I can definitely see it leaning more towards smaller high school classes and bigger portal classes. But again, man, everything is in motion right now. Everything. So a lot of things are just guesses right now of how things are going to go. And you just got to play it right as you see it, as you go. We see it as fans. The coaching staff definitely sees it. And they're doing right the best that they can. But it's change that requires us to be patient. Two things that
Yeah.
we're not good at.
Yeah, especially coming off of back-to-back losses. That just makes it
Yeah.
even worse. But that's, to me, it still doesn't excuse. I don't care. Like, I don't care. Listen, I'm like this. It still doesn't excuse the accountability of some of these terrible takes and people who have influence on these platforms just throwing crap out there and just fear mongering and just not really giving a fair, balanced perspective. Like, I really believe some of these people, they like it. They like the drama and the fear. They eat off of it. And so, regardless, you need to be held accountable for that, because some of these fans, man, they really are freaking out. You know what I'm saying? It's just like real concern, like it's a family member, like on life support concern. Some of these fans. So, but anyway, look, one more thing I wanted to mention that's been circling, and then we're gonna get right into super chats. I want to address the Mylan Graham tweet, or the Mylan Graham liking of a tweet saying there's something going on in the program and all this other stuff. People keep sending me that. People keep talking about that, like there must be something going on. Then Ryan Day is leaving, and everything is in turmoil because Mylan Graham liked the tweet. So let me just say this. I think Mylan Graham is probably a nice kid. You know, I thought he had a lot of potential here at Ohio State. But just like Devin said, the fact is with Fahim Delane, Roker was over him on the depth chart. 3-star Leroy Roker was ahead of Fahim Delane, the 4-star. I believe, Dev, really quick, wasn't he a high 4-star to mid 4-star? He was a pretty solid prospect.
It's top 75 recruit.
Top 75 recruit. Okay. The reality is, guys, sometimes the 3-star is going to outperform the higher ranked player. Okay. And so with Mylan Graham, I'll say this again. I don't care how much speed and flash and everything we just, oh my, in the spring game, we just can't wait to see. Us fans heap expectations on players and situations based off of what we believe and feel. And that's fine. That we're fans. I'm not against that. I'm simply saying this whole portal situation is really testing that and putting that to task, because the flat out truth is your boy Adolph was playing more than Mylan Graham. You know why? Not because he's more dynamic than Mylan Graham, because he could block better. He could contribute to the offense more than Mylan Graham could in this situation. Because Mylan Graham, when the local press was hounding Ryan Day weeks ago, earlier in the season, about Mylan Graham and what it's going to take to get him to play more, Ryan Day flat out said, you know, he has a lot of talent. We see the potential, but he has to complete his catches. I'm paraphrasing, but he said he's not bringing the ball in. And we saw that in big moments when he got a chance to play. That's exactly what he did not do. And we like, oh, well, that's why. That's why he's not playing more. That's why Brandon Ennis is out there, because he's catching the ball. He may not be that fast, but he's catching the ball and he's blocking and he's moving the sticks occasionally. You know what I'm saying? So we have to, I'm saying that to say, and I'm rounding it around here. Could Mylan Graham be a little salty that he wasn't given what he was asked or promised anything by this staff, and he feels slighted by it? Like, hey, I was a 5-star. I'm better than this kid. Well, it's not showing up on the field, son. So is it possible that it could be a sour grapes like, but yet some of y'all take it as gospel truth? Oh, this must mean the program's in turmoil because Mylan Graham, who didn't get what he wanted and left the program, at least temporarily, maybe the kid will have a change of heart tomorrow morning, liked a tweet that said something's going on in the building. Come on now. Funky, let's start with you. What you got on that, bro?
I mean, I just think there's always going to be sour grapes in a bunch. That's just kind of how it's always been in any, I mean, think about any sports team you've ever been on. There's always going to be the sour grapes of the people, oh, I don't play, and blame the coach, and et cetera, et cetera. So I don't really take into account any of those liking of the tweets or whatever the heck. And I mean, the overreactions are just, I mean, it's everywhere. It's like, it's everywhere. It's not even just like people I would consider, fans, or just people on X or people on the board, et cetera, et cetera. It's like people that, have, a decent voice in this Ohio State world, or are part of other message boards. And it's frankly kind of ridiculous. 'Cause I don't even know how they could really get those opinions. It's really just not you're not thinking in depth on what you're really saying. You're just on. I'm not even sure. It's really easy to freak out. I mean, as the Devin and B knows, I mean, I'm not perfect either. I have my own freakouts, but usually kept it between the private messages. So, but like when you go out publicly and you say stuff is wrong with the program, or Ohio State is blah blah blah, or we're broke and Bo Jackson's leaving, it just frankly, I mean, pretty ridiculous. Because I mean, the Bo Jackson leaving stuff really had no legs to it all. It really didn't. There was That was just, malpractice reporting, and that was really not actually going to happen. It's like, were they negotiating a new contract? Yes. Did he want to get paid a lot because he got paid pretty much nothing as a freshman? Yes. I mean, but that stuff seems to work itself out. So Bo Jackson always wanted to be part of Ohio State, but now for solid 2 weeks, or not even 2 weeks, but I felt like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
but a solid few days, Ohio State fans just spent all their time bashing him. So now it just feels, I don't know, it's just weird how that's how we could move through in this new age and this re-signing era, and how people can just kind of report anything and whatever. I mean, again, people were really saying people with real audiences were saying that Jeremiah Smith was leaving. So it just, that stuff was kind of ridiculous.
Oh,
But I mean, that's what
Jesus.
and you've got to realize, it's like, how much do you think Julian Sainz getting paid by Ohio State? 4 million, maybe more. I mean, 4 million, I would say, is the lower amount. That's about the average price for a really good quarterback, and Julian Saint was a Heisman candidate. Then you have Jeremiah Smith, and you're going to pay Max Clare, you're going to pay Kenyatta Jackson, you're going to have to pay Jermaine Matthews and Devin Sanchez. I mean, we're returning a lot. You have Zion Grady. I mean, super talented edge rusher that we all saw last year, and I'm sure other teams around the country saw him as well. So we have returned a lot, and we did so far a really nice job. And obviously, there's ways to go with that. I have a right to change my opinion if we lose. I'm not saying I really don't think we're going to lose them. I would be really, really surprised if we did. But just to see it go through the hoop with, Kenyatta Jackson, Jermaine Matthews, and Max Clare, then we have a really, really good squad heading in the next year. I mean, super elite, another team that could really compete for a national title, especially if Julian Sain takes the improvements that we would expect a quarterback from year one to year two to do. And obviously, you still have Jeremiah Smith on your team. So I know the
Right.
schedule's hard, and I know that we lost some two depth pieces, but in the grand scheme of things, it just, these overreactions are just, I mean, we know they're ridiculous, but it's just fun to still talk about how ridiculous they are, because it's, if you really think about it, there should not be much of a reaction at all. And if anything, it's just a little sad about losing some kids that we followed recruiting wise. That's about the only thing. So,
Yeah.
but this taught you anything, then don't overreact on recruiting because you can get a kid and he could leave the next year or leave in 2 years or never play at all. Or we can miss out on who knows, a Felix Ojo type guy, and he goes and transfers to us the next year or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's just a long way to go. And but the end of the story, Ohio State earned our trust, and we should fully trust them until they give us a reason not to.
Yeah, Dev. Really, really quickly before you hop in, I just want to make clear. Funky made a good point. I understand venting in your chat sessions in private. Like, listen, I'm not do that. When I'm coming at this angle of chill with these with this pushing this fear mongering, I'm talking to the people who are influencers, who have platforms, who people follow them. It's just like we have a responsibility on what we say. None of us are perfect. We are flawed human beings, but those are the main ones I'm speaking to. It's one thing to say it with your buddies, like, "Dang, I'm scared, man. We gonna suck next year." That's different than these platforms just spewing all this mess, nonsense, misinformation, fear mongering without painting the full picture. That's who I'm talking to. I wanted to clear that up, Dev. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. 95% of everybody's freak out stems from one thing, and that is recruiting rankings, right? When we see Fahim Delane, a top 75 recruit, Mylan Graham, a 5-star, Quincy Porter, a 5-star, we freak out. Okay. There's very little, if any, film in any meaningful snaps at the college level that we can indicate anything to justify the amount of freak out that I have seen. I'm with you. My hope and my thought, I think Quincy Porter is going to be a first round draft pick wide receiver. That's what I think. Have I seen anything at the college level to know that? No, I don't. Here's another truth that will get ignored, brushed by, and is probably going to make some people mad. Ryan Day, over and over again, has said what his number one goal is, right? That's to make these good men, good fathers to live in this world. And, right, also to play football, there's a lot of behind the scene things that need to happen that go in this. Show up time for meetings, do the things that you need to do in the weight room. All these things come into play, right? When you step on campus at Ohio State, your recruiting ranking goes out the window. You have to do certain things to earn respect from your teammates, your coaches, and also to get on the field. It doesn't matter if you go on the field and you're the best football player, but you were late to 5 practices in a row. If the coaches allow that player to play, what message does that send to the rest of the team? And I know everybody is literally going to lose their crap from me saying this stuff, but there are a lot of behind the scene things that happen with not all, but some of these guys that are entering the portal on all the teams around the country. Us fans freak out because of their high school film or their recruiting ranking, or maybe a couple snaps they got in some not very meaningful minutes, when we don't know even 10% of the information the coaching staff knows, right? Some of these young kids coming into college, it's hard. It's hard to come to Ohio State. You got to be focused on your goal. Like, you got to be detail oriented, showing up to things on time, being focused, the way you carry yourself in public. All of those things come into account when the transfer portal opens, especially right when you're going to go try to negotiate with your coaches. All those things come into play. So again, there's just the only piece of information that we use, that most people use to freak out over, is, I mean, recruiting rankings. I don't know how many times we have to go over how little those truly mean. I mean, if Fahim Delane was a 3-star, right, what's our reaction?
Yeah.
Okay. And again, I'm not taking away from those people that it bugs. Is it? B. Moses knows when Fahim Delane left, I did not like it. I didn't go on Twitter. I didn't go on the show. I didn't go on the message boards. I put in our group chat something that I will not repeat here. So I get those emotions, but those emotions are attached to what I think Fahim Delane was going to be.
Right.
Those emotions are attached to, hey, I think Fahim Delane could start next year. I think he's going to be a contributor, but I don't know that. But I tell you who does know, the people that spent every day with them for the past, I don't know how long, the professional coaching staff. They do. Now, I'm not saying Ohio State isn't being cheap in some instances. There's a little inkling in me that feels that they might be. They might be. But again, until proven otherwise, I will trust this coaching staff. There is nothing that has happened on the field in the past 10 years or since Ryan Day has got here that makes me question whether he can bring in a talented enough team to win a national title, because he has not failed me yet in bringing in talent to compete for a national title. But maybe I'm alone on that island. You guys, has Ryan Day brought in a team at all that you didn't think could compete at the highest level?
Yeah, you're not alone on an island at all. And I would say it's the vocal minority that spew this nonsense. You know, it's just ridiculous. But amen to all of that. All excellent points. And you know, some people will still ignore it because, again, like someone said earlier, they'll move the goalpost in their mind to cling to their freak out teddy bear. It's weird, but whatever. And again, concern and questions, and man, I hope this works out, is not the same as freak out and overreacting. And those are two separate things. I want to make sure that's clear because people get offended because we're not allowed to question the staff. We're not allowed to question. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about a very specific group of people in this. I've been clear with that. All right, let's get to super chats. Arnie Gonzalez, thanks for the 1999. Players seem to be using the Buckeyes as leverage to better deals. Why don't we just close the deal instead of losing out like we might on the running back from Georgia and the one we lost to Tennessee? Devin, you want to respond to that?
Hold on. Players seem to be using the Buckeyes as leverage to better deals. Why don't we just close the deal instead of losing out like we might on the running back from Georgia and then on the ones with I mean, it's just everything we've been talking about. Yes, people use the Buckeyes for leverage. That happens. We don't want those kind of players on our team that are going to come use the Block O, the Buckeyes, simply as leverage. You really want Ohio State to pay a player that is coming here to use us for leverage? I'm good on that. You know what I mean? And it goes back to every situation is different. Every player is different. And I understand the want sometimes to do that when we see a player, when we see a Chaz Coleman and we want Ohio State to pay these things. It's just, man, I mean, the power of social media, the power of YouTube shows talking about it.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, there's no facts to back that up. You know what I'm saying? There just isn't. There's no facts to back up that, hey, you should pay those kids that kind of money. Everybody wants to use Miami and Indiana, or mainly Miami, as an example, what they did to us. And hey, yes, good, just pay for the player. Doesn't matter what it costs. He's a good player. Just pay him. I would argue with you that Miami beating us this year and what Miami is doing is proof that their way of gathering, talent is better than ours. It just is. But right, I could be wrong. We'll just have to wait and see. This all is a wait and see game. I could be wrong, Ernie, and you could be right. I'm not saying. I'm just giving you my opinion, right? Everybody can have their opinion. I'm not. Hopefully, I didn't sound too rude or mean there. I don't mean to be. That's truly how I feel, right? So I'm just giving you my take, but you might end up being right. Ohio State maybe should just pay these players whatever. Maybe they should just give Chaz Coleman $1.7 million and let Zion Grady leave because Chaz is better. Maybe. I don't know. But, there's just so much unknown, man. There really is.
Yeah, for sure. Funky, you got anything on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think what Miami, Indiana really showed us, I mean, the best players on Miami and Indiana were literally playing against Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Right.
They're playing against Justin Fields. They're older. And
right.
this is not me hating on the kids or doing whatever. It's just the new days. Get these older veteran kids who played a lot of football, in the longer seasons where it's all about a lot about having leadership and a lot about bouncing back from losing or bouncing back from harder games and getting hot at the right time, and less about, never losing in the regular season. So all about getting hot at the right time and having that leadership around you, like going in the playoffs, you can trust these guys. So uh, I hope I would love to see Ohio State go out there and get a lot of these older guys. And as the portal, I mean, there's still a ton of kids in the portal, an absolute ton of kids in the portal. I would love to see us get, third, fourth year, fifth year guys who've played a lot of ball, even if it's at a lower level school, and see what they can do here. See what they can do. I'm really excited to see what Bo Atkinson does next year at Ohio State because he played a lot of ball in North Carolina. I'm definitely excited for Zion and his other guys. But yeah, so I think it's more about getting kids with a lot of experience and proven talents, hopefully, bigger time football, and less about paying up for a kid who had like point 0.5 sacks and didn't even start one game for their said school. So uh, yeah, and a kid whose uncle is his agent and whatever, who was going to 5 different schools before he picked one. So it's just about your motto. But I think obviously Miami's did a great job with it this year with the 6th-year quarterback in Carson Beck and their 7th-year cornerback. And their beefy offensive line and good and really really great defensive line. They did a really nice job. And also Indiana. I can't even name like 5 players on Indiana, but they played dang good football. I know a lot of them played really really good football, and their average age is like 23 or 24 on that defense compared to Ohio State, who had like a 20-year-olds. Like we didn't have one guy of age who could drink alcohol at the what's it called in Las Vegas for the Big Ten Media Day. We didn't have we said 3 guys. Not one of them could even celebrate it all there. So we had we're always gonna have a younger team because we're always gonna have a more uh, NFL ready NFL development team unless things change in the near future where we go from older kids, and then we'll see our captains pull up with full beards at age 24, 25.
Yep. Carson Beck is 32 with a mortgage, a 401k, very impressive portfolio from investment standpoint. But no,
Hey,
older guys. Yep.
AB, can I bring up something real fast? I've seen a lot of questions about it in the chat and whatnot. We might hit it
Yeah.
on super chats, but right, a couple of questions I think Funky and maybe you can chime in on updates on the Alabama defensive lineman, updates on Francis and any other portal players. Right, I have heard Terry Moore, the safety from Duke, had a medical red shirt this year, was the highest graded safety in all of college football the previous year. I've heard there's connections there. And there's also rumblings out there that the Francis visit didn't go very well. But again, we all know rumblings are like in the portal age sometimes. But just wanted to let the chat get that information if anybody has any.
Yeah. So Funky, did you want to hit on the Alabama guys? I can touch on Francis.
I think the main thing that the Alabama guys is Ohio State has a lot of interest in them, and Turbo Rogers was their teammate in high school. The teammate one of them in high school, and they still had an ongoing relationship. So the relationship side's there. Ohio State wants them. The package deal thing is a little weird, because we have a bigger need for the defensive tackle than we do the defensive end, but we definitely do want both of them, and we're going to be in the mix a bit. They're visiting Missouri and one other school. I texted it to you guys, so this is off the top of my head. Visiting 2 other schools. I heard it went well, and obviously in this new era, predicting is just kind of silly. I've learned that from myself making mistakes, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure how much relationships do matter in this, but I know Ohio State is willing. We're paying guys. Like, people think we're poor is hysterical. It's just like, we're not poor. We're just not going to break the bank, or we're not going to be the top spenders. But we're giving these guys real life changing money still. So, and we'll see how those turn out. If I get better information, I'll have better reporting on that. Uh, but feeling good, and I know Ohio State wants to grab a defensive tackle or two and a defensive lineman in the portal. So that's probably our biggest need at this point, is 1 or 2 defensive linemen.
Yeah, and real quick, just a real quick point about the whole NIL thing. Funky, you just said something. I mean, we've said this over and over again, but I think fans really overlook and just gloss over the money that's spent on retention. Ohio State has been in the top 5, top 10 as far as NIL spenders. And then people are like, that doesn't make sense. Are we broke or are we not? It's retention. We're paying to keep guys like Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sayin and Caleb Downs, et cetera, et cetera. Like player retention. We're keeping our good, productive guys. And so I just wanted to remind people that with Francis, there's definitely been some conflicting information I've been hearing from certain people. But the latest I got is he'll be making a decision by the end of the week. And so we'll see what happens. If I get more, I will say it. But yeah, from what I heard, it was not a bad visit, like some people are saying. But just like in any situation or deal, there's some things that need to be batted over. And so we'll see. We'll see. But let's go ahead and get to the next super chat. Steely Matt, thanks for the 199. The dream team, B, Dev, and Funky. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Stilly, man, for everything you do. We appreciate you. Good sir. Gio did. Thanks for the 5. G, now we know why Fahim Delane and Malik Hartford left. Ryan Day and Mark Pantoni had a better option on the way. Earl Little Jr., funny how that works. Yeah, so again, like Des been saying, things are happening behind the scenes. I just feel like fans just think Ohio State is just not doing anything because we're not pulling in 15 players from the portal already, or we're not keeping pace with some of these other teams, that we're just sitting back being lazy and being broke and cheap and just all the other stuff they're throwing out there. Stuff is happening, y'all. Okay, and this was just another domino to fall, which we all feel is a good pickup. What you got, Dev?
Yeah, if you pay Malik Hartford or Fahim Delane, either one of those options, you don't get Earl Little. So ask yourself, would you rather have Earl Little next year on your roster, or would you rather have Malik Hartford? Would you rather have Earl Little on your roster next year, or would you rather have Fahim Delane? Man, I can't talk. That's bad. But literally, that's what it is. I mean, that's black and white. That's just as simple as I can make it. B. Moses Funky, am I wrong in that assessment?
Funky, did you want to say something?
No, it's all about next year. Who's playing? Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
no.
Sorry, yeah. So, yeah. Well, you guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you. That was just funny. It's
Hello.
like, yeah.
Oh my God. Sorry. I was.
You're
Sorry. I was
good. You're
very.
good, man. We can hear you. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Devin's exactly right. It was between. It's all about next year production. Oh gosh, that was a little stumble there. It's all next year production and having Earl Thomas, or why am I thinking Earl Thomas? Is that his name? Or Little? Sorry,
Earl Little.
Earl Little Jr. on the team next year. Yeah, Earl Little Jr. on the team next year is a way more impactful piece than Fahim Delane. So if Fahim, goes to whatever South Carolina North University and starts there and has a really great year, then maybe we can see him back in the Buckeyes next year. But Ohio State's all about being good for next year because there's no time for rest. And there's no time for there's no gap years at Ohio State. There's no down years. There's no rebuilding years. That's just not a thing. So we're not like that other team up north who could, go 7-5 and then go 8-4 and only be forced to make staff changes because of their head coach's interest in blonde woman.
Nice jab. Well timed. Yeah, but listen, hands are being forced, y'all. Hands are being forced. Would this staff love to keep Fahim Delane and keep him developed? But hands are forced. The portal threat is there. Agents are there. So Ohio State is going to say, okay, we understand, young man. We don't think you're ready to be a starter, or you're not over Roker, and we're not going to give you this money because it doesn't justify it. So I understand if you leave, then we understand. But we're going to do what we need to do, which is bring in production. So, you know what I'm saying? We're going to keep saying that. I want y'all to understand that. It's very, very important. Ernie Gonzalez, thanks for the $4.99. What's up with the running back from Georgia? You talking about Frazier. Dev, what you got on that?
So, I mean, there's, unless something has changed, they're still in negotiations at Florida to bring him back. I do know that Locke had a really good relationship with him last year. There was smoke last year that the Buckeyes were going to get him out of the transfer portal, like a lot of smoke. So right, to my knowledge, Frazier still has not made a decision. Last I checked on the Georgia boards, they are leaning more towards, hey, he's probably going to enter the transfer portal. And a lot of this Ohio State smoke came from the Georgia boards, where they are saying, have heard Ohio State is in the mix here, which is giving Frazier pause on his decision on whether to come back or not.
Got you. Real quick, Ernie followed up with thanks for the 199. Can we grab him up? He's a great player. So he was following up about Frazier. Yeah, he is a great player. I mean, we'll see what happens. I would definitely love to have him, but we'll see. Gio did thanks for the 5. Earl Little Jr. has a great pedigree. His dad played in the NFL, played for my Browns. To me, L Jr. was brought here to play safety, not nickel. Yeah, there's some debate. There's some people who's adamant he's a nickel. There's some people who are saying no, they think it's a safety. We'll see. The staff will ultimately judge. Funky, you got anything on this?
Yeah, I think he's going to play at safety. That's just my personal opinion. Clearly, Ohio State will keep developing him because it wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world if you rolled into that Jordan Hancock role for us. But and for Nate Frazier, Ohio State's always been talking to him. I mean, he's a kid that we never stop talking to. Carlos Lachlan absolutely loves him, and if you watch him play at Georgia this year, you can kind of see why. And really, really good player, runs really hard.
Yeah.
So Ohio State is never going to be out of the mix for him. And even it was weird because about like what was it, a week ago at this point, I did an update on the running back room, letting people, Lindo, Bo Jackson's returning, and but he's also going to be out with you know, a little injury for the spring. Same with Isaiah West. So, and an update on Legend Bay and Turbo Rogers, who are both, going to be on Ohio State next year. So we have a loaded running back room already. But in there, I also put Ohio State is pushing extremely hard for Nate Frazier, and then the number 13 for Florida. So, and then a couple of days later, the Georgia boards blow up about Nate Frazier possibly transferring to Ohio State. So, is there smoke there? There's always, in my personal opinion, there's just kind of always going to be smoke there because Ohio State is going to be talking to this kid, I mean, 24/7, or agents are going to be talking, and he's definitely someone I can see Ohio State, deploying the bag for because he's the kid. He's one of those kids that it's Laughlin's guy. So
Yeah.
Laughlin will, he'll pony up the money. I can promise you that money is not an issue for Carlos Laughlin in that running back room, but I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. What's the next thing? Okay. Clueless, thanks for the 20. Thanks for being a Scoop Ultra member. Subscribe to Buckeye Scoop Board, Buckeye Info 24/7. Awesome community as well. Who do y'all think we get next? What positions do you want the Buckeyes to pursue right now? When will the NCAA step in and fix the portal? My quick answer is I definitely want a kicker. We have offers out to kickers. I want a good kicker. I definitely want to see one of these. I would love one of these Bama guys on the defensive line to come in. And I don't know what really good portal O lineman is out there that actually makes sense, but those are mine. Devin, what you got?
Who do I think's going to commit next? Tight end Hunter Welsing, former Northwestern tight end. That's who I think's going to commit next. Not that I want another tight end to commit, but that's who I think's going to. What position you want the Buckeyes to pursue right now? BMO's kicker, defensive lineman, and secondary, corner, nickel, safety type of help. That's really my main concern. The Buckeyes, at least all the information I'm gathering, the Buckeyes are not playing around on this defensive line room next year. So for those of you guys that are upset we're losing Chaz Coleman and stuff, the information I have is the Buckeyes are not going to upset with their defensive line haul in the portal based off of the amount of effort, back channeling, right, and quite frankly, visits that they've had. Clearly, defensive line is a big want and need for them in the portal.
Yeah, for sure. We will move on. Sam, thanks for the 499. What's been the buzz around KJJ, Jermaine, and Claire returning? Funky, and I know you got to go. Maybe this could be your last response before you head out. You got anything on this one?
Kenyatta's and Jermaine are 99.9% returning. I'm told we should hear about that pretty shortly about some sort of re-signing or some sort of them declaring back to Ohio State on their social media pages shortly. Claire, I still very much do think he's returning. But that's one's a little more up in the air. I do, but I would say it's about you know 85-15 of him returning to Ohio State. Uh, yeah, because he is getting some pretty good NFL grades, but nothing really to write home about. And the whole tight end market on the transfer portal is they're pretty low, to be honest with you. So I believe Ohio State works something out with him and keeps him home. Cincinnati, Ohio kid. But yeah, we shall see. But yeah, like we said, I do got to skedaddle. But thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for tuning in, guys. To Scoop family. I'll probably be on a few more times this week as Team USA competes for a gold medal. They won again today. It was like whatever 10-1 or something. So and another good game for them. But yeah, next Sunday is the gold medal match. So maybe I'll probably be on actually doing this while the gold medal match is happening. So yeah, but
Nice.
thanks for having me, guys, and yeah, I'll peace out.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate you. All right. You got anything on this, Dev?
Yeah, I reported like a week ago. Kenyatta Jackson was leaning towards returning. Jermaine as well. I think Claire is more up in the air, than I know as well. B Moses, by the way, did you know that Jaden Fielding got granted a fifth year of eligibility from the NCAA?
Don't you play with me, sir.
No. I'm not playing, bro. Like, I always thought it was a
No,
joke too.
I did
It's
not
not a
hear that.
joke, bro. It's not a
Nah.
joke.
All
It's
right.
real.
I don't believe you.
It's
I don't
real.
believe you.
I
Dev
promise.
is trolling. He's trolling us right now. He doesn't love us. He doesn't care about our mental health and well-being. He's trolling us. No, I have
Yeah.
not heard that, sir.
You guys want it well, you'll see. It's about to be reported a lot more. You want to see somebody have an actual flip out? Let Ryan Day make Jaden Fielding our starting kicker next year, and I'll have to do a show by myself because B Moses
I,
won't want to participate in that one.
no, I will join the freak out club if he's named the starter next year. I will be the card carrying freak outer
Google
if
it.
that's the case.
I typed into Google Jaden Fielding extra year eligibility. Ohio State kicker Jaden Fielding has been granted a fifth year of eligibility by the NCAA.
All right. We'll see. We'll see, man. If he gotta go, bro. We'll see. You got me off. You threw me off. Now let's get
Sorry.
back to this because that's not a good fuzzy feeling there. Toledo Geo, thanks for the two. P Moses LLC added a product, Ryan Day beard dye black only. That is funny. The Ryan Day beard jokes. Didn't his wife come out and say something to somebody about that not being true? I guess she kind of snapped at him. I forget who it was, but yeah.
In a jokingly way. I thought for sure that'd be Buckeye Boys LLC with as many Ryan Day references as I've got to my beard and my looks.
Yeah. I can definitely see that. You definitely feel like you can be his brother sabotaging Michigan's cheating scandal. All right, what we got next here? Mike Green, what's up, man? Thanks for the 499. I think it was done on purpose. No better way to mimic the NFL by going after maturity over potential. Indiana has old heads, Miami old heads. Yeah. I mean, it's been the past few years. I mean, we had an old head team last year, but they weren't we had a few portal guys, but most of them were not portal guys. And so, yeah, I mean, the question is, can you sustain that year to year to year having old heads? Because you would literally have to go to the portal every year. And so, Dev, anything on that?
Yeah, I've heard that tossed around. I don't think it was done on purpose as far as letting some of these guys go, but I do think it was one of the variables in the back of Ohio State's mind when they're negotiating. It was one of the variables that led them to believe, no, we're not matching that number, right? You don't have the experience. So I do think it was a variable in it, but I don't think Ohio State said, all right, let's get rid of most of our 2024 class because we want old heads. Because the portal is not a guarantee either. Like,
Right.
it's not at all.
No.
Not even close.
Yeah, it's definitely not. So that's the thing, man. And that's why Ohio State and smart schools like that aren't just throwing money at guys just because they were a 5-star in high school. What's your production to justify this? We want to win too. You want to win in life by getting this bag. We want to win on the field. And if you're not good and not worth it, that's going to undercut that. So it's very important. Stilly Matt, thanks for the 199. Happy Sunday, Scoop family. Hashtag 74. What's that mean? What am I missing? What's 74, Dev? Fill me in. I'm missing on that one.
Is that one of those six? Is that the new 6'7"? I don't even know what 6'7" is. I can't fill you in on 74.
7.
I don't even know what that
Somebody,
is.
yeah. Tell me what that is, Matt, and we'll get back to you.
74.
Gene Honigford. Thanks for the 10. Any update on the OC situation? Bucks just reload. I haven't heard any updates. I don't think anybody has, because the NFL, I mean, things are still. Black Monday was just less than a week ago. Things are just kind of spinning from that. We believe most likely it's going to come from the NFL. So we just waiting for the process. Unless, Dev, have you heard something in the last time we talked?
Nope. The same update you got.
Yep. All right. Sean Krutka, thanks for the 10. As a member of the Freakout Club, I think part of it is because out of all the portal players, there's maybe only 10 or 15 who can actually play at OSU. So when they go elsewhere, it's frustrating. Well, one thing I wanted to remind people of, their players are hitting the portal like every day. Now, one thing we do have left, the 6 days or whatever, we still got almost a week left of players actually entering in. So one thing I've noticed, Devin, is that it's like you think, okay, all the guys are out. These are the guys that are in the portal. And then boom, here comes more guys in the portal. Boom, 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 boom. And like Dev said, the conversations are being had. Like, don't think for a second that these players and agents aren't talking in back channels to these schools to test the market before they step out in the market. So I hear you, but listen, it's a lot going on, man. Dev, what you got on this?
Yeah. Again, I can relate to the frustration in the moment, but when I take a bigger step back and I dive into all the details of this, I have less frustration. Ohio State's hands are tied. Again, I'm going to keep going to this. Would you rather have Jarquez Carter or John Walker on your team? Would you rather have Earl Little or Fahim Delane on your team? If you answer those questions, the answer that you give will give you an idea of whether you should be freaking out or not. I mean, that's to me, I mean, that's just like a fact. There's no emotion in that question or answer. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like
Exactly.
one of them has production, the other one doesn't. Those are facts. We're not guessing there. You know what I'm saying? So, right? It's like the NFL, man. They look at production. The NFL doesn't give a dang if you were a 5-star wide receiver coming out of high school.
Exactly.
They do not.
And again, I thought about this earlier, Dev. We are NFL light now. And people who are criticizing Ohio State looking at value, like it's the NFL. They make moves like, we see value in this. We're not going to pay that guy. It's like looking at two guys with similar production, or maybe one has a little bit more production, but he's still good. We see more value in this guy because, you got to allocate money. And it's very similar now. It's just like Ohio State's not just going to just pay everybody who demands to be paid. What value do you bring to the table within the allocation of these monies? You know what I'm saying? So we got to remember that. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Geo did. Thanks for the 2. B Moses, you're 100% correct. X is just awful. Yes, it is. X is I can't stand X because of the people that are on it and how they push their propaganda, their idiocy, their lack of understanding. It's just like there's no accountability for just what you're saying. People just say stuff on X. And it's frustrating because, again, people, unfortunately, way too many people will just be led around by the nose by buffoons who don't know what they're talking about. And somehow I'm like, how did you get a large following like that? You're an idiot. People follow you, but it is what it is. X is X. There's some good things about X, group chats and stuff like that. Every now and then, when you do your what is it called? When you have like the group, what's it called? When you
Thread?
invite it, you said what?
Oh, Spaces.
Spaces. There's been some good spaces and stuff like that, but just man, it's a cesspool of just negativity
Dude,
and stupidity.
You know what's wild, B. Moses, is I get way more hate on my X account from fellow Buckeye fans than I do even Scum fans. I really do. It's
Yeah.
it's wild.
Yeah, it's bad. It's just stupid. So whatever. All right, let's see. Sam, thanks for the $4.99. Just FYI, Oregon has had 8 players in the portal today. We are okay. Yeah, again, Sam, great point. We've been saying this as well. We are very myopic at times. We have tunnel vision. And listen, I understand it. We care about the Buckeyes only, if not, mostly, if not only. But there's a lot of schools dealing with this who have a segment of their fan base freaking out, like what's going on. I mean, it's all across the country. So yeah, we're not the only ones, Devin, and I know you've said that as well.
Yeah, but yeah. When you see on Twitter, normally when something bad happens to Ohio State, you see Scum fans or Oregon fans or something repost it and put, "Ooh, or potential hammer coming," or "What's going on in Columbus?" I have hardly seen any of that. Why is that? Because their own team is dealing with the same thing. So They know they can't because somebody wants to talk about, one of our defensive linemen leaving, then every team has defensive linemen leaving, so they can't do that.
Exactly. But you know what they need to do? They need to touch grass, bro. Touch grass. Yeah. Clueless, thanks for the
fact.
2. Stilly just told someone to touch grass the other day. When I was on here with Dev, I was talking about the saying of touch grass and where did it come from. Remember, Devin, there was another saying I couldn't remember. It finally, somebody in the comments reminded me. I was like, that's it. It's pound sand, bro. Pound. Where did that come from? Can somebody tell me where that came from? Touch grass and pound sand. I don't get it. I never say it. But anyway, I'll go to the next comment. Are you good? You look like you got your Google eyes on right now.
Yeah, my Google. All right. It originated in the U.S. in the late 19th century. It is thought to have, go pound sand means something like get lost, go play in traffic. And we already knew that. I want to know where
did it come from? Right. Yeah. What's the origin of it? Yeah, because that's just, I never understood culturally, me and my folk, we didn't come up saying pound sand and touch grass. So I'm like, where did that come from? Just weird. But anyway, we'll get back to it if you find something else on the Google machine to justify its existence. Clueless, thanks for the 5. Thanks for being a Scoop Watcher. Remember, apparently the team up north is calling Buckeye Scoop as a caught, and Stilly is telling us to drink our Kool-Aid. Can we turn this into a meme? Yeah, I might be able to make a meme. Actually, speaking of caught, it's funny how a caught is calling someone else a caught. Remember, I made this meme a while ago. Here, let me take the comment off the screen. Yeah. Facts and logic be damned. It's funny. A true caught would try to call somebody else a caught. That's how you deflect. But anyway, let me take this off the screen. Give me a second. There it is. All right. Anyway, we ignore them. Clueless. No, I'm sorry. Wholesome necessity. Thanks for the $4.99. OSU will be okay, but you have to empathize with fans. It's possible that it may be a bumpy road. Losing 30 plus to the portal draft is uncharted territory. Wholesome. I love the name. It's very wholesome. I thought, Devin, correct me. Tell me, have I been too harsh? I feel like I have been trying to be nuanced with my empathy. I've said several times that I get it. It's tough right now. I even said it's been tough for me. The thing I'm trying to do is keep the accountability of just, it's one thing to, it's a bumpy ride, but especially the content creators and podcasters and people who lead people who have influence, the accountability should be there with some of these, with stuff, some of the stuff that's being pushed that's fear-based and not really fact-based. That's really what I'm going after. So I'll try to do a better job at it, but I thought I was doing that, Dev. My bad.
No, I mean, I think you are for sure. I would say I have more sympathy than empathy, but both of them end in "thee," so it's all the same. No, like in all seriousness, I understand it. B should be able to tell you I definitely do, because he's one of the people that I text when my first emotions arise from Fahim Delane. I text, all right, what's going on now? You know what I'm saying? So I definitely do. I understand. It's a change. We're used to seeing these guys stick around and develop and get the gnome and then becoming first round draft picks. That day is over. Okay. Yeah. So you have that in it. You also have the fear that we're not going to be able to replace those players. What are we going to do? Right? We're not going to be able to find somebody as good as Fahim Delane. I do. I understand it. But again, I take a bigger picture of the full thing here, and we'll wait and see what the team looks like when they get on the field for the first game.
Exactly. You know, it's just, let us finish this roster out before anyone comes to any conclusions. You know, I think that's a fair, wise thing to consider. Gio did, thanks for the 5. Ryan Day will, Ryan Day will always spend the bulk of NIL money on player retention first, period, as he should. It's not hard, Scoop family. Amen. Yeah, I think that's a smart thing to do. You pay your players, you keep your guys here that you know are good, who are productive. You keep them here and keep them happy, and then you bring in guys as you need them, and that's just it. If the market is going to force the hand of these schools of the players to leave, then the schools are going to say, all right, cool, we're going to go after production. We'll replace you with production, and that's just it. Anything on that, Dev?
What player that was in the 2 deep this year has left?
You said what player that has been in the 2 deep has the only one is Tegra, but we didn't want him here.
Yep. Okay, so yeah. So Tegra.
Right.
You know,
that's it.
Tegra didn't leave on his own accord, but anyway, yeah, that's the point. Player retention, Gio, I'm totally with you. It better stay that way. If we're getting rid of Julian Sane and bringing in Dylan Raiola, I'm going to have a problem.
Oh man, and that's crazy too. Like he still hasn't found a home, right?
Supposedly he's going to Oregon, and if Dante Moore comes back, he's going to wait a year under him.
Oh man, that's just crazy.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, could you actually see him going to Oregon? Like for real? Like seriously?
Yeah, because Oregon is one of those teams that would do something, and they would have the money that he's asking for. I could see him going to one of those places. Yeah, I could.
But is he good enough for Oregon? Like, and I'm not saying. I mean, I don't know, man. He just seems kind of mid. He just should have stayed in Nebraska, man.
I totally think he should have stayed at Nebraska for sure. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You know, Oregon went and got what's the short little guy, Gabriel. You know, and I didn't think he was a Oregon caliber, quarterback, but he went and did it though. I mean, yeah, I could be wrong there. That's a bad comparison. He was way better than Dylan Raiola. Yeah, bad comparison. But
we'll see. I mean, Oregon, they don't put nothing past me. They're in they see every year. It's just funny, Oregon fans. They talk so much crap, and you've been absolutely destroyed back-to-back years in the playoffs. And so I don't know. If y'all wasn't so crazy talking like y'all just got 50 natties, I probably wouldn't be laughing as much, but they're in desperation mode. Phil Knight ain't getting no younger. So who knows what they might do, Devin. So anyway, Clueless, thanks for the 5. Can we get a real kicker off the soccer team? Offer him $150K. Yeah, man, we need to get something. Can we tamper with Ole Miss and get their kicker?
Dude,
how many years of eligibility does he have?
I'm 100% convinced that if Ryan Day tapped into the Ohio State fan base, we could get one of the best kickers in the country for free. We could get some dude that played high school soccer, right, sitting in his backyard right now. Remember, was that A&M? Some dude came down out of the stands and became their
Yeah.
kicker. I am convinced that we can get a kicker for free just out in the atmosphere, out in the realm of Ohio State fans. That is a better kicker than Jaden Fielding. But clip it, put it on TikTok. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, something has to
For
give,
free.
right? Something has to give. I mean, there's somebody out there. And so I'm just going to believe that we're going to get it done this year. Stilly Matt, thanks for the 199 pound sand, bro. I just never understood it. I never, and cats would just say that would say with their chest too, like it was some bars. Like, is that supposed to be offensive? Am I supposed to be offended by that? Like,
yeah, I'm trying to think of I've never said to anybody pound sand, and I've also never said touch grass. Those are not two things I've ever said to anybody.
I don't get it.
You know
I
what I
don't get
mean?
it. But I mean, that's in some. I've seen it a lot, and they said it like it was like the illest thing ever. Like they ended it with an exclamation point.
If I'm feeling that way about somebody, I like to be more direct in my
Yeah.
communication and clearly say what I mean. There's no confusion when I get done talking.
Indeed. Ernie Gonzalez, thanks for the 999. That was me, B. Me and my bud say all the time when we talk to each other, instead of saying shut up or being nasty, we say to each other to pound sand. Wow, well, there you go. Yeah.
I say kick rocks.
Yeah, I've heard kick rocks too.
I say kick rocks.
That's not something I've adopted either. I still don't understand what does that mean either. What is kicking rocks going? Like, how does that to me it's in the same category. It's just like I don't get it, but
I also tell people to go play in the road.
That's a lot more direct. That's
is it
specific.
That's direct.
Yeah, go and play.
So what if I say
is a little different?
Yeah, I say go play in the road on a wet, snowy, windy day. I've said that to multiple people.
Yeah, that's a little more specific and how can I put it? Dark. But thank you all for educating me on all these little sayings, because I just didn't. I always wondered and never asked. But listen, again, y'all, it's always a pleasure to come before you and speak with you and share our thoughts, our perspectives, and talk Buckeye football and everything that's happening. We appreciate you, Buckeye Scoop family, Buckeye Nation. Listen, tomorrow's going to be another day. There's going to be more activity. Could be good. It could be perceived as bad, whatever. We will talk about it. We will chop it up. But at the end of the day, we have reason to believe that this Ohio State program is not going to plummet into the sea of irrelevancy after this portal. I'm very confident we're still going to be pretty good next year. You said what?
I said B was going to start spitting in bars. I heard a little something there. It got me a little pumped up.
All right. Just saying. So any last words before we hop off, Dev?
Nah, yeah, just be patient, right? I would ask this, even though it's going to go, right? The people that are doing this aren't going to hear this out. Like, it's okay to have different opinions. Just because I have a different opinion doesn't mean you need to call me an idiot and a loser and all these and vice versa. Like, there's just no need for any of that stuff. I don't even know why I'm saying this. Nobody's going to listen to that, but especially between Buckeye fans, I'm seeing that going on a lot right now. It's just confusing me. Who cares, right? If I think Fahim Delane wasn't a loss and you do, that doesn't mean we should hate each other and blow each other up on social media, calling each other idiots and stuff. Like, what are we doing? Anyway, that's all I got. Go Buckeyes.
Yeah, who cares? Whatever. Go pound sand, bro. Kick rocks, bro. Touch grass, bro. Do all of that, bro. Anyway, listen, we love y'all. Appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all next time. Go Bucks and peace.